amusing and somewhat strange medrash, he immediately caught the attention of the congregation and continued on in the pleasant vein befitting the hour. Well, as he went on for an hour, hour and a half, until noticing that the stars twinkled in the heavens, he concluded with the best wishes for all and hoped that they would break their fast well and that they would all be here next year following, none missing. He had hardly concluded when, as if oblivious of the time and place, the audience broke out to a thunder of applause and the shouts of, "Go on, continue!" Okay. It took another word from the rabbi to recall the realization that they were in shul and they had fasted, and then the shofar was blown. I don't think that'll ever happen again in history. So it's good. It's good to have it recorded once. Now the story here with Rabbi is on the train. It happened. The following incident is illustrative of the strictness of his observance and of interest otherwise. This was published by his son in Washington D.C. in 1914. Rabbi Elway had an accident. He died in his 50s in 1871. Okay. It was in the summer of 1867. My father had not been well for some time, and his doctor ordered him away. He decided to make a trip east to Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York to visit old friends, taking me with him. We left Cincinnati at night over the Marietta and Cincinnati Railroad, arrived at Belpre very early in the morning, and crossed over on a steamer to Parkersburg, West Virginia. The only train we could take was the one which carried the B&O Railroad laborers, all Irishmen, and distributed them in their various stations along the road. The Irish, particularly in the 19th century, were the main anti-Semites. Understand? I don't know if you know this or not, there were Irish riots against Jews in this country, where Jews were badly beaten up in the United States of America, in Boston and New York and Philadelphia, and during World War II. Yeah, 1942 and 1943, they were in New York City. Jews were assaulted and beaten very badly by Irishmen. Anyway, we got into the ordinary boxcar with an aisle in the middle, and wooden seats, two benches facing each other on either side, and we found two vacant seats. It's him and his father. On one side of the aisle, the other just in the opposite. My father took one seat with a laborer at his side, and two facing him. So they're sitting right in the middle of all those Irish guys. And I took the other one. As soon as the train went underway, he took out his tefillin, because he hadn't had time to do it before. He had slept soundly for the first time in many weeks, until a few minutes of waking up. And right away, he rolled up his sleeve, bared his arm, and began to lay them, put on his tefillin. As if divining what he was about to do, his neighbors, all the guys around him, those in the seat with him, immediately stopped smoking, stopped conversation, laid their pipes on the windowsill, and ceased all activity. And not only these, but those immediately behind and in front, and the opposite side with me, and eventually in the entire car, lapsed into silence. When he was through, he began to remove his tefillin and fold them up. The pipes were relit, and the conversations resumed. The son says, "What a lesson of reverence for religion do these laborers teach the sons and daughters of Israel." So you got Sigmund Freud, you got Bernard. Not too far apart at the same time. But once in Central Europe, under the conditions of the profoundest anti-Semitism, and with Jews very conflicted. This guy is not conflicted. You can like him as a rabbi, you can dislike him as a rabbi, whatever you want. But he was the same person 24/7. And he, in the United States of America, he generated respect in the same way. And so the train becomes once again not simply a place where people travel, but it becomes a site of self-discovery and self-revelation. The third story, which is the most powerful of them all, it has to do with Russia, 1892. This is from Rabbi Maza, who was the official rabbi, the chief rabbi of Moscow. In Russia, I'm sure some know, they had a system whereby the Russian government wouldn't recognize anybody as a rabbi unless he had a high school education or could read and speak Russian, and the rabbanim on purpose wouldn't do it, and therefore the result was every town had two rabbis, the official one and the unofficial one. The unofficial one was the Rov. I'll give you an example, Rabbi Spector, something like that, who believed me couldn't read Russian. And then the official rabbi was a pharmacist or a dentist or a Hebrew. Shalom Aleichem, to give you an example, the famous writer one time or another was a rabbi of a town. The medallion was S.L. and you get a salary and all the rest of it. The Jews, by the way, had to pay the salary, but that was mandated by the Russian government. The money from the Vada Kashrus had to go in Europe to pay the official, what you call the Kazanyev, and the official